Hi, welcome. You know me, I'm Mrs. Fudge. This is English class. It's gonna be very different than normal English class because obviously I can't talk to you and you can't talk to me. So please leave comments. I will try and respond. Comment in the Google Classroom. I'm trying to figure out how to set up Zoom office hours so we can hang out during office hours. It's also not like normal English class because I am sitting on the floor and there's nothing for me to trip over. So I apologize. I also apologize if you hear any noise. It's finally nice outside. All of the windows in my house are open to try and get out all of the sadness from the last couple days. I hope everyone's doing really well and you enjoyed your 4-day weekend and you're now getting back into routine. Don't forget to set an alarm clock. Don't forget to eat your vegetables. Don't forget to go for a walk outside. We have this really great benefit of living in a rural community. So embrace that. But I also hope that you are reading 1984. I hope you're reading it outside because the party would hate that, right? So we left off in part 3, chapter 2. So Winston has been taken by the party and he's being tortured by O'Brien. So today we're talking about chapter 3, and chapter 3 is, do you remember when I said that when we get to book 3, it's like pedal to the metal? I was going through and highlighting all the things I wanted to talk to you about in chapter 3, and I realized that I think it's just the entirety of chapter 3. So that's on brand for me. So a couple of things right off the bat. I hope you're still working on your annotations. This is not a summary. So I am not SparkNotes. I am not Course Hero. I'm just going to be talking to you about the things that I hope that you were paying attention to. I hope that there were a whole bunch of moments in this chapter that you were, you had your dang, Winston, this is not going well for you moments. So, right off the bat, always going to be asking you guys, what's our time frame here? How much time has passed? Feel free to make a timeline. You have the time in the next couple of weeks. Make a freaking timeline. So go ahead and make yourself a timeline. See how this time is going, because at the very beginning of this chapter, O'Brien says there are 3 stages. There are 3 stages to your reintegration. There is learning, there is understanding, and there is acceptance. It is time that you enter upon the 2nd stage. So chapter 1 and 2 was that learning stage, right? This book is broken into 6 chapters. I wonder if that was on purpose. Is Orwell smarter than we are? I don't know. Okay. So like we do in class, I've got a couple of quotes I want to bring out to you guys. I'm going to try really hard not to read the whole chapter to you, but who's stopping me? I'm home alone. You're not here to sleep. You can pause it. I don't care. Oh, speaking of pausing, go read the chapter. I'll wait. No, I mean it. Pause. Go read the chapter. I still mean it. Pause it. Go read the chapter. Thank you. Excellent. We can get started then. Okay. So, the book. The theory and practices of oligarchical collectivism that we spent so much time on. In this chapter, we find out Goldstein didn't write it. O'Brien says, I wrote it. That is to say, I collaborated in writing it. No book is produced individually, as you know. So it's almost like a literary catfish, right? It's a great way to trap people in, but also to teach them, right? Because there's that whole learning phase. But the thing that O'Brien wanted Winston to take away from this was there's no way in which the party can be overthrown. The rule of the party is forever. Now, he's using that normative phrase forever there, right? So what is forever in a world in which time is malleable and history is malleable? So just because something's been true forever, according to the party, might mean it's only been true for an hour. So what does forever mean? This is normally when we go back and forth. This is new for me too. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making this up. This is my iPhone. That's a flower. I don't know. Okay. A couple of other things. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means, it is an end, right? Because Winston keeps trying to think that maybe like the party's like doing it for the betterment of the people, and O'Brien's just like, nah, dude, power. Power is absolute power is everything. This is where I'm gonna get a little extra ready. I apologize. Couple of things I want you to point out on that next page. God is mentioned. God with a capital G, which leads us as readers to think he means the Judeo-Christian God, the God that like our socio-demographic would be familiar with. And that's very interesting, right? Because we've talked a little bit about churches. Is there a God here, right? Is there a God in play? I wonder if that's important later. Okay. You know the party slogan, freedom is slavery. Has it occurred to you that is reversible? Slavery is freedom. Alone, free, the human being is always defeated. It must be so, because every human is doomed to die, which is the greatest of all failures. But if he can make complete, utter submission, if he can escape from his identity, if he can merge himself in the party so that he is the party, then he is all-powerful and immortal. The second thing for you to realize is that power is power over human beings, over the body, but above all, over the mind. You should have had brain twinkles, right? Your brain should be running all over the place right now. We are consistently talking about the manipulation of the brain in 1984 and doublethink. And it's intentional. It's so on purpose by Orwell. Sorry, I don't mean to be shaking you. By Orwell and by Winston and the party and O'Brien, like this manipulation of thought, this manipulation of language. It's crucial. It's vital. It's super important. I love this because I know all of our science teachers would have such a field day with this. We control the mind. Reality is inside the skull. We make the laws of nature. Because we know that's not true. That's literally like not how science works, right? But when you control everything, you control science, right? And that leads me into this next part, which for me was a very big text to world connection. So I'm going to read the passage. I want you to be thinking text to world, and I want you to see if you can make that connection for yourself. So it says, but the rocks are full of bones of extinct animals, mammoths and mastodons and enormous reptiles which lived here long before man was ever heard of. Have you ever seen those bones, Winston? Of course not. 19th century biologists invented them. Before man, there was nothing. After man, if he could come to an end, there will be nothing. Outside of man, there is nothing. But the whole universe is outside of us. Look at the stars. Some of them are a million light years away. Yet they are out of our reach forever. What are the stars? Said O'Brien indifferently. They're bits of fire a few kilometers away. We could reach them if we wanted to. Or we could blot them out. The earth is the center of the universe. The sun and stars go around it. We have seen historically over and over and over and over again, governmental, religious, different bodies pooping all over science, right? We even see this in like modern culture with things like health, maybe in light of the coronavirus. And when scientific bodies say this is very important and governments are like, are they though? We have to allow people who are the authorities to be the authority, right? I love that part. And he reminds us of doublethink a little bit later on. Okay. I'm going to read a big passage. So pause, go to the bathroom, get yourself a drink of water, go be weird on TikTok, come back, and we'll get started. Okay. How does one man assert his power over another, Winston? Winston thought. By making him suffer, he said. Exactly, by making him suffer. Obedience is not enough. Unless he's suffering, how can you be sure that he's obeying your will and not his own? Power is an inflicting pain and humiliation. Power is tearing human mind to pieces and putting them together in a new shape of your own choosing. Do you begin to see then that the world which we are creating, it is the exact opposite of the stupid hedonistic utopias that the old reformers imagined? A world of fear and treachery and torment, a world of trampling and being trampled upon, a world which grows not less but more merciless as it refines itself. Progress in our world would be progress towards more pain. The old civilizations claimed that they were founded on love and justice. Ours is founded upon hatred. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. Everything, we shall destroy everything. Already we are breaking down habits, though thought which were survived from the revolution. We have cut links between child and parent, between man and man, between man and woman. No one dares trust a wife or a child or a friend any longer. But in the future, there will be no wives and no friends. Children will be taken from their mothers at birth like eggs from a hen, and the sex instinct will be eradicated. Procreation will be an annual formality like the renewal of a ration card. We shall abolish orgasm. Our neurologists are working upon it now. There will be no loyalty except loyalty toward the party. There will be no love except for the love of Big Brother. There will be no laughter except the laugh of triumph over a defeated enemy. There will be no art, no literature, no science. When we are omnipotent, we shall have no more need of science. There will be no distinction between beauty and ugliness. There will be no curiosity, no enjoyment in the process of life. All completing pleasures will be destroyed. But always, do not forget this, Winston, always there will be the intoxication of power, constantly increasing, constantly growing subtler. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stomping on the face forever. Did you have a moment there? If you didn't, rewind, listen to it again, and have a moment. Can you imagine that world? We've been talking about what it means to be a human being, right? All of the things that he just mentioned: love, compassion, laughter, the joy of just being alive, taken away. So what is the party trying to create here? Right? It's like it's terrifying, right? Especially in a world that we're living in right now, where a lot of us feel a lot like some of our basic needs are being taken away from us, right? Because of social isolation and self-quarantining and actual quarantining and stay-at-home orders. But that's so that we can enjoy our process of life, right? And that others can. Because of science, right? I see things on the internet about people feeling limited, or like their liberty has been revoked in some way. This is that, right? What O'Brien is talking about. The party is immortal. Do you believe in God, Winston? No. Then what is it? This principle that will defeat us? I don't know. The spirit of man? Do you consider yourself a man? Yes. If you are a man, Winston, you are the last man. Your kind is extinct. We are the inheritors. Do you understand that you are alone? You are outside history. You are non-existent. And you consider yourself morally superior to us with our lies and our cruelty? Yes, I consider myself superior. So Winston isn't done yet, right? There's that little bit of Winston left. We've said in class, a couple of us don't like him as a narrator, but it's getting harder and harder not to cheer for him, right? I love it. And we get him closer and closer to the mirror, and we see how diminished Winston is, right? There's a whole passage about how he's gone partially bald, and you can see the barrel of his ribs and how skinny he is. Thin shoulders were hunched forward so as to make the cavity of his chest. The scraggy neck seemed to be bending double under the weight of the skull. This should be a signal to you for time. How much time has passed, right? We know what Winston looked like before this. He did a pretty good job describing him at the beginning. So I want you, again, making these pinpoints of time. O'Brien literally ripped out one of Winston's teeth from his mouth. That's how sick he is. In case you didn't know, Your health shows up in your teeth. Go to the dentist. And Winston all of a sudden realizes maybe how long he's been here. Only one thought had stirred in his mind. He must have been in this place longer than he imagined. Then suddenly, as he fixed the miserable rags around himself, a feeling of pity for his ruined body overcame him. Before he knew what he was doing, he collapsed onto a small stool that stood beside the bed and burst into tears. He was aware of his ugliness, his gracelessness, a bunch of bones and filthy underclothes sitting weeping in the harsh white light, but he could not stop himself. Right? Because he blames the party. Rightfully so. I'm not saying he should blame the party, but he blames the party. And O'Brien's like, no, you've done this to yourself, right? Like, all you have to do is comply. I'm still watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra has a lot to say about compliance. There's another text world for you. But O'Brien points out that he hasn't betrayed Julia, right? Because that's the last thing we want. The last thing we want is for the party to be able to destroy love. Because if Winston has love, he cannot be destroyed, right? It's all Winston's wanted. And he's finally gotten to this point. And anyone else on this earth would have answered promptly that he had betrayed Julia. For what was there that they had not screwed out of him from under torture? He had told them everything he knew about her habits, her character, her past life. He had confessed in the most trivial detail everything that happened at their meetings, all the things he said to her and she to them, their black market deals, their adulteries, their vague plottings against the party, everything. And yet, in a sense which he had intended in the word, he had not betrayed her. He had not stopped loving her. His feeling towards her had remained the same. O'Brien had seen what he meant without needing for an explanation. He'd betrayed her in words and not in actions. And then this chapter ends. Tell me, he said, how soon will they shoot me? It might be a long time, said O'Brien. You are a difficult case, but don't give up hope. Everything is cured sooner or later. In the end, we shall shoot you. So he's gonna be fixed, and then they're gonna shoot him. I don't know what that means. It could be literal. It could be not literal. I don't know what to tell you there. I've posed a lot of questions for you guys today, read a bunch, tried to make sure I wasn't talking too fast. But I also don't know how long this is gonna take. I'm at 17 minutes. Holy moly. Okay, if you're looking for something else to do over your break, I would love to see a piece of propaganda from the party. O'Brien's got that really great quote about the party stomping on the face of the human. And that whole passage, I would love to see some propaganda from you guys. Digital art, drawn art, written art. Honestly, just like let yourself be inspired. As always, email me, post it in the Google Classroom, find me on TikTok. I don't really care. I miss you guys. I hope you're doing well, and hopefully I will see you soon. Okay, bye. Make good choices.